This is going to be a recipe for a caramelized Asian pear cake. I love Asian pears. This is an Asian pear if you're not familiar with them. I'm going to just put this on the heat for a moment. You find these in the supermarket. They usually come with that white netting over them to keep them from spoiling. I grew this one and all of the ones I'm using in my yard. I bought a dwarf Asian pear tree a few years ago, and this year I've got in excess of 50 or 60 on a small tree. It's amazing. If you've never tried these, really, you need to try them. It's the consistency of a pear, very, very juicy, a little bit of apple taste to it. I do not eat the skin. I don't know if some people do. I always peel it off because the skin on this is not like the skin on an apple or a regular pear. It's just, I don't find it very good. But anyways, what I did was I peeled and chopped up, here we go, chopped up about 4 cups. That was about 5 of these Asian pears. Now, if you don't want to use Asian pears or you don't like Asian pears, in this recipe you can use regular pears or you can use apples. But I really like the Asian pears and I have them right outside my door, so I'm going to use them. Now, in my pan here, I'm melting 1 1/2 tablespoons of butter. And to that, I'm going to add
1/3 cup of sugar.
And what I'm making here is the caramel for the apples. Now, I'm going to just cook this for about 2 or 3 minutes, stirring constantly. And it'll first get lumpy looking, and then it will start melting as the sugar starts melting and caramelizing. I'm also going to add to this at some point 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 2 tablespoons of whipping cream, and all of these apples. So just mix it around for about 2 or 3 minutes. Now that's been about 2 minutes. It hasn't caramelized yet, but I can feel it getting much more liquidy. So at this point, I'm going to add that pinch of cinnamon. Get that distributed well. And I'm going to put in the apples, the pears. I want these to soften up a bit. They're a little on the hard side. I just love the juiciness of these things. And now, as we're cooking this, the pear is going to give up some of its juices, and we have to sort of reduce that so it becomes a thick caramel. We're not going to put the cream in until at the end. So this now, probably 5 to 7 or 8 minutes that we need to cook this. So we'll just wait that 5 or 7 minutes. I've been cooking these Asian pears now for about 8 or 9 minutes. They were a lot more liquidy than I thought they were going to be, but almost all the liquid is gone. And I'm going to add the cream at this point. Just mix that in. And I'm going to have on hand ready, I have a 10-inch bundt pan, which I generously greased and floured. This recipe makes a big cake. I may have extra batter left over. If I do, I'll show you what I'm going to do with it. You can also bake this in a large angel food pan. This will take all of it. Or you can bake it in bread pans, but I like the way it looks this way. So I'm going to now put these in the pan, just spreading them all around. Whoop, I think I lost some. It's okay. Just evenly spread them out. Oh well. And now I'm going to put this off to the side while I make the cake batter that's going to go on top of it. Let me clean up this mess and I'll come right back and show you how to make the cake. Now we're ready to put the batter together for our cake. I've got 3 cups of cake flour in this bowl. I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. And just give those a mix. I like doing this with a wire whisk because it also aerates the flour at the same time it blends all the other things in. I'm going to put this aside for a minute because I don't need that just yet. In my mixer bowl, 1 cup, 8 ounces of good room softened butter. I'll get part of it on the mixer thing. Okay, and we're going to start by mixing that up. And I'm going to tell you about the other things that I have. I have 3 cups of sugar, 6 eggs that I separated, 1 cup of milk, and some really good homemade vanilla. So I'm going to mix this up, and I'm going to gradually add in the sugar. Great. Now I'm going to add in the yolks. And also, I'm going to add the vanilla. We're going to put in 1 tablespoon of vanilla. That's a lot of vanilla, but I really love it, and it really gives the cake a real nice flavor. It's my perfume. I'm going to stop the machine for a moment, just give it a good scrape down. And now I'm going to start adding the flour and the milk alternately. About 1/3 of the flour. Half of the milk. Some more another third of the flour. The rest of the milk. And then the rest of the flour. I gotta tell you, that smells terrific. That vanilla is just so intense. And now I have the 6 egg whites, which I'm gonna beat up. I'm gonna use my old-fashioned egg beater, which I like to use for this. You can do this with a wire whisk if you want, or you can do it on the mixer if you happen to have a second bowl, which I don't have right now, but I'm gonna get one. And we just wanna mix these up, or beat them up. It's a good workout for the arm. starting to get stiffer. So we have some soft peaks. All right, that's pretty good. Now, we're going to fold them in. Take this off the mixer. My oven is on at 325 degrees. And once we put this cake in, it's going to be in there for an hour to about an hour and 10 minutes. Okay, let's get those whites in there. And we're going to fold those in. You don't want to just mix these in real hard because you'll take all the air out that you just put in them. You want some of that air to lighten up your cake. Although this cake does come out fairly close to a pound cake, so. You just want to mix it in until all the whites are blended and you don't see any white streaks. And as I said to you, this makes a lot of batter, and from making this in the past, I know that I'm not going to use all of it in that bundt pan, so I have some little pans, just the plain cake. And I like to keep them in the freezer so that if you want just dessert for one or dessert for two, you could just take out one of these, split them, put some whipped cream on them and some fruit, and you've got dessert. Or just eat it plain. Okay, that's pretty close. Okay, see a little white in there, but that's not bad. Bring over our pan. Now, just start putting in our batter. And when you take this out of the oven, you're going to let it sit on a rack in the pan for about 10 minutes. And then you're going to turn it upside down. And you're going to get some drippies. So you want to have something on the counter like some wax paper or foil or parchment paper or a cookie sheet or something that's going to catch it all. Otherwise you're going to have a messy, messy counter. Just can't get over how wonderful this smells. That's about all I want to put in there. Hold on. Just grab a offset spatula. Spread it. I like to bring it up to the sides. Now, many times when I bake a cake, I like to put this on a cookie sheet and put it in the oven for the cake pans. But when I'm using a bundt pan, I don't want to do that. This bundt pan has a hole in the middle, so you want that air to go circulating through and around the whole cake and come up through here and around. Otherwise, if you don't, you may get a raw center. So now, 325 degrees, 60 to 70 minutes until toothpick, or if you can use a pasta, a spaghetti thing to just test it. And I'll be back when it comes out of the oven. Our caramelized Asian pear cake is out of the oven and it smells fantastic. And as you can see, I got a couple of small ones that I can put in the freezer after they cool down because they're very warm. And I can have that for a treat some other time, probably with just some whipped cream and some fruit. So now this has been sitting probably 6-7 minutes, and I'm going to turn it out. And one thing I've learned in making this is not all of the pears will come out necessarily when I flip it over. There'll be some stuck in there, but you can just take a spatula and scrape them out and put them on top. You'll see what I mean. So now, and I've got a sheet pan here covered in wax paper to catch the drips. And now we're going to turn it out. Move this out of the way. This over here. And here we go. See what I mean? Some of the pears are still in there. I'm just going to scrape them out and put them here and there, wherever there's a spot. And now they will just sit here and cool down because this is roaring hot right now. And I have to let this cool completely before we can cut it, or maybe at least to room temperature if I can wait that long. So here is your caramelized Asian pear tart. I hope you try it. They are delicious.